For today's lesson, we are going to go over how to set up and solve equations and inequalities. For Friday's lesson, we went over how to set up and solve literal equations. Not much setup involved in those, but we went through the process of solving those. And today we are going to do word problems. I know that was a spot that a lot of students struggle with, so we're going to take some time and go through it. All right. So go ahead to the Schoology folder for my class, navigate to the folder for today. It'll be red, and open up your notes. The second link, I believe, is the notes. So open that up and let's follow along. And now I will share my screen. All right, here you can see um, just kind of a quick little bit of an intro. Many real life situations require us to solve equations and inequalities. In fact, uh, inequalities are super common. Um, Oftentimes, you don't even realize that they're happening. For example, how many gallons of gas can you put in your car if you only have $20? That's something anybody who drives is always thinking about. Oh, okay, I got $20. How much gas can I get? That's an inequality that we can set up. Um, is there enough time before class to go get lunch, eat it, use the bathroom, and return? That's something you might be thinking about if you're in the building, going to class and whatnot. And then how much money should we spend on each family member's gift for the holidays without going over budget? If we have a budget set, we don't want to spend too much money. All these different things are inequalities that we think about, maybe not in such a super mathematical way, but these are things that we think about over the course of time. We do algebra daily. So, in the process of solving these inequalities, we're going to have some steps. Our first step is going to be to read the problem and make sure we understand all the words in the problem. Our second step is going to be identify what we are being asked to find and assign a variable to represent it. Our third step is to identify what we are given. Our fourth step is to write an equation or inequality that models the situation. And then our fifth step is to solve the inequality. And sixth step is to explain our answer in a complete sentence. For this portion here, we're not gonna worry about 5 and 6. I'm gonna put a line through those to keep us on track when we go through it. All right. We don't need 5 and 6 right now. So let's look at example number 1 and set it up using our directions. Number 1 says 5 less than the quotient of 2 and a number is 9. What is the number? So our first step is to read the problem and make sure we understand all words. So let's read the problem and then make sure that we understand all of our words. The problem is, once again, 5 less than the quotient of 2 and a number is 9. What is the number? Do I understand all these words? 5, that's a number, less than. So careful with this portion here. We just finished inequalities, and so you may want to type in or write out that less than sign, but that's not what this one means. 5 less, if you think back to our translating, we were doing equations. 5 less is going to be subtraction. Than is that switcheroo flip word that we have used in the past. Um, then the quotient. That may be a word you may not be familiar with. Quotient simply means division, all right, of 2 and a number. The quotient of 2 and a number, when you have something, operation, and then of right after it, typically what follows that is going to go in parentheses. So that's going to be indicated with a set of parentheses around it, 2 and a number. And then this is tells us that it is an equation. And then 9 is just another number. So we've just done number 1. We read the problem and we made sure we understood all the words. Number 2 says, identify what we are being asked to find and assign it a variable. We are being asked to find the number. What are we going to do for this number? Let's go with something simple. Let's go with X. You can pick anyone that you like. I'm going to stick with X because for me, X is really simple to use. You can use N for number if you like. Doesn't matter too much. Define our variable. Once again, our variable is going to be X. What is X? X is the missing number. The missing number. That's what X is. And then what are we given? We are given this entire statement. So instead of typing out that entire statement, I'm going to indicate this with a green circle and then circle what we are given. That is what we are given. And then is this going to be an inequality or an equation, since we now have two of those things that we could possibly set up? In this question, it says something, 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 something is 9. And that tells us it's an equal sign, and equations have equal signs. So that's what it is. It's an equation. So now let us begin the process of creating it. 5 less than the quotient of 2 and a number is 9. From our lesson on translating way back in the first half of our first marking period, we learned that less indicates subtraction and that than is a switch word. So what comes after that is what's going to come first when we actually translate it. So what's going to come first is the quotient of 2 and a number. What does it mean for something to be the quotient of 2, for the quotient of 2 and a number? We're going to have 2, and then it's going to be divided by a number, our variable, which is going to be x. And I put these parentheses because, oops, that's how I have to write it when using Kami. And now that we have this portion, 2 over x, we have 5 less than the quotient of 2 and a number. We have the quotient of 2 and a number. Now we have to do the 5 less. The less is the minus sign. And now 5 is 9 equals 9. And there we go. We have set it up. And if you guys wanted to solve this, I know you guys could. You guys are pretty good with that kind of stuff. So let's move on to number 2. We're not going to solve in this example. Number 2 says, you want to order sunflowers for your friend's birthday. Sunflowers cost $1.25 each, and there is a delivery charge of $3.50. How many sunflowers can you send if you have $16? All right. How many sunflowers can you send if you have $16? So once again, our first step is going to be to read the problem and make sure we understand it. So let's read the problem. You want to order sunflowers for your friend's birthday. Sunflowers cost $1.25 each, and there is a delivery charge of $3.50. How many sunflowers can we send if you have it? Okay, so I've just reread it. There weren't any words in here that I didn't understand. If there are words in it that you don't understand, be sure to ask one of us, one of your teachers, so we can help you figure out this problem. Now, what are we being asked to find? We're being asked to find this portion here. How many sunflowers can we send for $16? So how many sunflowers can I send with $16? That's what I'm being asked to find. So my next thing is going to be, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'll copy that. My step 3 is going to be to identify what we're giving. Oh no, next is going to be to, we've identified what we've been asked for, which is how many sunflowers. And now we have to assign a variable to it. So to assign a variable to it, sunflowers, you could stick with good old X. You can go with something a little more fun like F or flower. So let's do that. Let's do F for sunflower. What are we given? Once again, instead of typing it all out, and I want you all to do this too. You can type it out if you like. I like to circle it because that saves time, especially when I'm doing these videos. We are given that sunflowers cost $1.25 each, and there is a delivery charge of $3.50, and that we have $16. Those are the 3 things that we are given. All right. So now we're going to determine, is this an equation or an inequality? how many sunflowers can we send if we have $16? This isn't saying, um, it's saying if we have exactly $16, how many sunflowers can be sent? So if you wanted to make this an inequality, I could see where that train of thought is coming from. But for this one, it is going to be an equation. All right. If you wanted to make an inequality, I do understand your train of thought, but this one is going to be an equation. So now let's actually go ahead and create it. So we have our variable is f. We want to know how many sunflowers can we send. And it's telling us that sunflowers cost $1.25 each. So that's going to be that 125F for the number of sunflowers we can send. And then there is an additional charge, a delivery charge of $3.50. It's going to be equal to our total amount of money that we can spend. Now, I could definitely understand if you all wanted to set this up as not that one, a less than or equal to, that would make sense. But for the purpose of this case, we're going to leave it as an equal to, all right? And now we aren't going to solve these because this is just help you guys set up these problems. So now let's move on to number 3. Number 3 says, you want to order cupcakes for your birthday. Cupcakes cost $3.25 each, and there is a delivery charge of $2.50. What is the maximum number of cupcakes you can buy for $40? Now let's look back at our steps. Step 1 says to read the problem and make sure we understand all words. So let's read the problem. Again, you want to order cupcakes for your birthday. Cupcakes cost $3.25 each, and there is a delivery charge of $2.50. What is the maximum number of cupcakes you can buy for $40? All right, I understood everything in there. If you didn't understand everything in there, um, let one of us know if you didn't understand something so that we can help you figure out what it's asking you. So we just did step number one. Now we're going to do step number 2, which is going to be to identify what we are being asked and to find and assign a variable to represent it. So let's first identify what we are being asked. We are being asked the maximum number of cupcakes that we can buy for $40. Maximum number of cupcakes for $40. So let's define it with a variable. I'm going to choose C for cupcake as my variable. And C is going to be the number of cupcakes need to remove one of those A's. All right. What are we given in this equation? We are given that cupcakes cost $3.25 each. That's an important part. $3.25 each. There's a delivery charge of $2.50. And that we have $40. All right. So once again, I'm going to put that green circle there to let you all know what I'm given. And now we're going to create it after we determine whether it's an inequality or an equation. So if we look at the question, the wording that's used oftentimes helps us determine whether or not it is an inequality or an equation. And if you see this, it says what is the maximum number of cupcakes you can buy for 40. That indicator right there, maximum number of cupcakes, tells us it's going to be an inequality. All right. And now we are going to write the equation. So, oops, didn't mean to hit that. Cupcakes cost $3.25 each. I know that I'm looking for my number of cupcakes and I know how much they cost. I don't know how many I can get. But since they cost 325, I'll start with that. And then since that the number that we can get is our unknown, it is our variable. So that's going to be a C right there. And then there is an additional charge of $2.50. All right, so we got that part set up. And now we have $40 to spend. And we know this is an inequality. If you look back at your inequality notes, there's a chart that gives you a list of words that you can um, use to help you figure out what these with each of the words, what sign the words are. This says the maximum number of cupcakes, the maximum number of cupcakes we can buy for $40. So that means we can't spend more than $40. All right. So anything we spend, anything on that left side of the equation needs to be less than or equal to that $40. All right. We aren't going to solve it. Once again, we're just going to set it up. If you want to solve it, by all means, go ahead. Extra practice never hurt. So that is the last question on this set of review notes. If you have any questions about it, go ahead and ask us. Please ask us. Don't just sit there quietly and not understand anything. That's what we are here for. We're here to help. So ask us. And once you finish the notes, get started on the classwork, which is the assignment right underneath it in Schoology. All right.